After class yesterday, I realized that many of you maybe haven't downloaded financial statements from a firm's website, so I wanted to just give you a quick little video tutorial on maybe how you might go about doing that. Every firm has a slightly different website and interface, but I just wanted to show you some examples, and that might get you to help find those. You can probably just Google it and find it that way, but I always think going through the firm's website is a effective way to do that. So this is Starbucks, and so obviously they're trying to sell their drinks and other things mainly from their website. But if you scroll down, you'll see there's a lot of other information about Starbucks, and a lot of firms, especially retailers and so forth, have a similar layout. And if you look at About Us, what you'd be interested in here for our purpose is investor relations. So most firms have some kind of tab like that. And then Starbucks, in this particular case, you'll want to look for something that's important for us is the financial data. And I always like to look at the SEC, or Securities and Exchange filings. So annual reports are good, but that's got a lot of other kinds of stuff. To find just the financial statements, I go to SEC filings, and they haven't filed their annual financial statements for 2022 yet, because their year end is around the end of September every year. So I'm going to go back a year to 2021, and you might have to do that for the firm you're interested. And to sort this down, I want to look for annual filings. So a 10K is actually the form that I think is most relevant for what we're after. And I almost always download the PDF. And there it is. And most firms now also have kind of a hyperlink. So this is their cover page. It tells you about what kind of securities they're registered to sell, what stock exchange, and so forth. What we're going to be interested in is looking at the table of contents. And item 8 on every 10K is the financial statements. So if you click on that, here we see Starbucks financial statements. They start out with their income statement, or consolidated statement of earnings, comprehensive income. We'll talk about that. You probably haven't talked about that. Their balance sheet, and then their statements of cash flows. So the other thing is, as I said, once you download that, I want you to start looking for some things that maybe you haven't seen before, or questions you might have. In this particular case, you might say, what does it mean that it's a consolidated statement of earnings? We can talk about that. What's also interesting is usually the firm on their income statement, right, says this is their income statement for the year ending. Look at their dates. They actually are different each year. So that might be a question that comes up, is like, why do they have different year-end dates each year? So those are just some examples. You could look at the balance sheet, and if there's things you've never seen before, you might say, what is that? What could it possibly be? So that might give you some ideas of how you could approach that. So that's just one example. Let's take a look at the Gap. So I don't know how many of you shop at the Gap anymore. It used to be wildly popular. Probably not quite so much anymore. Let's see if we can find the financial statements on Gap's website. So this one, again, they're trying to sell you clothes. So up here, there's nothing that tells you necessarily how to get to their financial statements. What's interesting is they also own, maybe you know this, Old Navy, Banana Republic, and Athleta. Scrolling down, a lot of clothes for sale. So they've got an About Us, but it doesn't show anything about financial information in that case. So this one's kind of buried. It's really interesting. So looking here, down at this very end line, they've got some links. And the one you'd be interested in is About Gap Inc. So this is telling you about the firm itself. And here's where you'd find their investors or investor relation information. So getting to that same kind of place, investors, financial information, Securities and Exchange filings. And then again, if we go to 2021, they might have filed, let me see if they filed their 2022. Yeah, so they filed their 2022 financial statement in March. And again, if we looked at a PDF, I think it's this one, it's going to look almost identical. They down here have the hyperlinks. Item 8 is the financial statements. And here we go. They start with their balance sheet. They call it a statement of operations. It's really just you can see an income statement, highly summarized income statement. Comprehensive income, again, we'll talk about that. And then stockholders' equity and their statement of cash flows. So again, I hope this gives you a little bit of a flavor. Like I said, you might be able to find your company just by Googling it. I always find the best way to kind of get to the formal information is through the 10K. So this is one way I like to accomplish that. Hope that helped. We'll see you tomorrow.